Hi, how are you doing? Today we're doing another new releases video. This time it's just 3 recent romance releases by authors that I love and I have included in like most of my list of releases videos that recently brought out a book. It's all romance, just the way the cookie crumbled, and I am very excited to read, so I thought I'd also vlog my experience reading them and tell you what I think of them. So the 3 books that I will be reading in this video are Problematic Summer Romance by Hazelwood. I'm so excited for this. This is a companion novel to Not in Love, which is my least favorite Hazelwood book, but still something about this is just calling to me. I have a feeling there's gonna be like a really good one. And then next we have King of Envy by Huang, which is the 5th book in the Kings of Sin series. Again, this series I've really enjoyed. There's only one book I didn't really like, but for the rest of all 5 stars, I made it to my favorite list of like the respective year that I read them in. So I'm very excited to get to this one as well and see what's going to go down in this one, because this is the release in the series that I've heard the least about. So I actually don't really know that much about what's happening in this one. So I'm very excited to see where that's gonna go. And of course, also have the new Emily Henry, Great Big Beautiful Life. I do have to say, at this point, I have seen some positive reviews for this, but when it comes to reviewers that I personally like take recommendations from, I really like trust their reviews, as in we have similar tastes, or I know where I'm gonna land based on their reviews. They all hate this book, so I am very nervous to get into this. But like, to be fair, Emily Henry is a very hit or miss author when it comes to her books. I feel like for a lot of people, like what's their least favorite is like my favorite, or like the other way around, and it's wild sometimes. I don't know how this is gonna go, but I'm still very curious about reading it. So that's what we're gonna be doing in this video, reading these 3 books. I don't know necessarily yet in what order. I do know I want to start with this one because I have been dying to read it, but I don't know the rest of the order yet. We'll see, but I'll see you once I've read something. Hi, so I am a quarter of the way through Problematic Summer Romance by Ellie Hazelwood. I'm really enjoying it so far. So in this book, we follow Maya, who is the little sister to the guy in Not in Love, which took me way too long to figure out, but I don't remember much of Not in Love, I'm not gonna lie. But at the start of the book, she actually has to go to the destination wedding of her brother. The couple in Not in Love, therefore, is getting married in Italy, and you know, she goes to the destination wedding, except she's not very thrilled about going. Like, she loves her brother and wants to be there for him, and he also loves her future sister-in-law, so like of course she wants to be there for them. But there's one massive issue, because her brother's best friend is also going to be there, Connor Harknett. A couple of years ago, she and Connor actually became really close friends, and just a few months ago, actually no, about a I actually don't know how much time has passed, but like a little while ago, he actually broke off that friendship because he was seeing someone and he didn't want their friendship to be misconstrued. But during this time, Maya developed a massive crush on him. So, you know, she isn't really looking forward to this wedding, because she hasn't seen him or talked to him since that phone call that like broke off their friendship. And she doesn't know how to act around him, you know, with her crush. And yeah, it's an age gap romance, which is how this is mostly advertised, which isn't necessarily my favorite, but I trust Ellie Hazelwood to pull it off for some reason. And so far I am liking it. I do have to say that Connor is a bit of an ass. Like, I get it, you are uncomfortable with the age gap created in this romantic situation. I get that, I do. Like, it's not an actual problematic age gap, honestly. It is like a little bit questionable, but like not actually like problematic, no matter what the title may say. But like, I get his hesitancy towards the age gap and not wanting to develop feelings with someone so much younger than him, because he is 38 and she's 23. So like, I get it, I do, but you don't have to treat her like a child in all of this. Like, she isn't 5 years old, so why are you treating her like she is? Like, that is the only thing that is kind of pissing me off about this so far. But I am certain that as this develops, I will like him more, I think. I don't know, we'll see how it turns out. Like I said, I was not the biggest fan of Not in Love, so I actually don't know how that's gonna turn out. But I don't know, something about this, even though like I said, an age gap's not my favorite, I just have faith in this book. I don't know why. So hopefully that faith won't be misplaced and I'll really like it. But so far I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time. I really like Maya as a character. I do think that even though Connor was an ass, we have gotten like 2 flashbacks to when they first like became friends, really. and I like the dynamic there, so I'm very curious to kind of like see him opening up a bit more in the present time as well. I also love the setting, stunning, and I love a wedding situation as well. The only thing is, because I don't love that much, I also don't remember it that well. So when it comes to like the whole cast of like secondary characters, basically, I'm like, who are you again? And it's a bit confusing in that sense, but for the rest, it's a good time. So I'm excited to continue reading, and I'll update you once I am halfway through. Okay, so I'm halfway through Problematic Summer Romance, and I'm really enjoying this. I'm not completely sold on Connor, I'm not gonna lie. I do have to say, in the flashbacks, I get it. Like, he is very charming in the flashbacks, but in the current timeline, he's very infantilizing and it's a bit frustrating. But I am, like, and I'm not his biggest fan, but I am warming up to the romance. Like, the tension between them is so good, so I'm having fun with that. And then I love Maya as a character so much. Like, she's so funny, and I also love that she's like starting to stand up for herself towards Connor a bit more. I really like that, and the setting is also just fabulous. I love just like this vacation, like wedding type vibe. It's a perfect summery vibe. Like, the summer in the title is not like stolen, and it's perfect for this vibe, and I don't know, I'm having a blast. That's all I have to say. Also, another thing I have to say is that there is a Deep End reference in that. Like, the couple from Deep End shows up in this book, mainly the guy. His colleague is mentioned, but they're also here, like not at the actual wedding, but they go to like a pasta making class with the group, and like he is there together with Scarlett, and he and Maya have like a little conversation, and I just geeked out because I think Deep End is my favorite Ali Hazelwood. I'm not sure, it's difficult to choose, but like right now, if you would ask me right now, I would say that. So I was very excited about that. I do also have to say Nyota, who is Rue's best friend's sister, hilarious. I want her book. I don't know if there's plans, but Ali, please give Nyota a great romance with a boy who can treat her right, because she deserves it. Like, she's such a fun character, and is kind of acting as not Maya's best friend in this book, because she does have a best friend, but she isn't along for the traveling. But like within the situation, it's the like sounding board, like friend kind of character, and I adore her so much, and I want for her to find romance as well, for her to be worshipped by a man. I want that for her, or even a woman. I don't give a fuck. Ali Hazelwood about your first sapphic romance, we could do that as well, but she deserves to be loved, and I deserve to read that. So that's something I really want. But so far, again, I am having a lot of fun with this, and I can't wait to keep reading. I don't know if I'll update you at the 3/4 mark or at the end. We'll see how much I'll have to say, but having a fun time. 3/4 of the way in, and I hate to admit it, but he grew on me. He did it. The bastard did it. I'm loving it. I really am. Alright, so I finished it, and I told you that if there's gonna be one author that was gonna make me like an age gap romance, it's Ali Hazelwood, because this was 5 stars. I have to say, this is the first time that an Ali Hazelwood that I ended up giving a 5-star had to grow on me, because I wasn't immediately in love obsessed with it from the start, as you could tell, but this grew on me so much and I loved it a lot. Now, this was really funny. I genuinely laughed out loud several times. Like I said before, I really love the setting of this, and then I love Maya. I think she is, even though this is far from being my favorite Ali Hazelwood, I do think Maya might be my favorite protagonist, maybe. I don't know, I feel like she was just so confident, and I really like that aspect of it. And like, she does have her own insecurities and stuff, but I like that. And Harkness, like Connor, I don't know how, but he grew on me. I don't know when it happened, but it happened, and I'm just like, oh. And even like, honestly, even when I wasn't his biggest fan, I could understand his reasonings most of the time. So it's not like I ever really disliked him, but he just never was really my favorite. And he still isn't my favorite, but I do love him much more by the end of this than I did at the start. And I loved their romance. I thought ultimately it is just really cute and steamy, definitely that as well. But I really liked it. Also, because I pointed out the Deep End reference, there is also a Love Theoretically reference in here for those who want to know. So yeah, I do have a question for you though, because ever since I read Deep End, I've been very much debating on what my favorite Ellie Hazelwood is, and I've been wanting to do a video and kind of where I definitively rank all of Ellie Hazelwood's books, including doing a reread of Bride, Second Mate, and Love Theoretically, which are, I mean, mainly Bride and Love Theoretically are like my other contenders for my favorite Ellie Hazelwood. So, and I'm gonna reread Bride anyway before Mate comes out. So, I don't know. I want to know if that's something you're interested in seeing. But like I said, I will be rereading those three books and then ultimately determine what my favorite is. But then I'll also do like a final ranking of like her full length books, not the novella, just the books. So let me know if you're interested in that, and then maybe I'll do that. But I can't say problematic summer romance, even though it is a 5 star. It is just barely a 5 star. You know, I think this is like towards the bottom of like all the 5 star Ellie Hazelwoods that there are. This and Love on the Brain are kind of like on a similar level for me. So there you go. Hi, how are you doing? I'm here with another update for this vlog because I'm a quarter of the way through Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I debated for a little bit which book I was gonna start next, and honestly I've been like on the edge of a reading slump, so I feel like this decision like was very important because depending on how this book goes will make a break if I'm gonna fall into a reading slump or not. So there was pressure, but I decided to go with Great Big Beautiful Life just for the fact that it's shorter. That's generally the only reason, because for me when I'm in a reading slump or like approaching one, I feel like finishing a book always like helps me like get momentum and get going and start reading again. So that's why I picked the shorter one of the two, and I'm glad I did because this is reading very quickly. Like this, the first quarter is 104 pages, but I flew through those pages like it was nothing. So in that sense, it is already helping. But when it comes to the book, let me first say what it's about. It follows Alice, who is a like celebrity journalist, I would say. Like they very much harp on the fact that she doesn't work for like a gossip magazine or anything. It's a very reputable magazine. So like, but it's still about like celebrities and stuff. And she has been able to contact this woman who comes from like this very famous family. She herself kind of disappeared from the public eye once her husband passed away, and Alice at the start of the book was able to track her down and kind of get her to agree to write a book about her life, because she really, her dream is to write autobiographies, and like no one better than this woman who she has idolized for like a big chunk of her life. But as she kind of like has this conversation with her, kind of like agree seeing what writing a book would look like, another guy named, what's his name, I generally don't know his name, this is bad. Oh, there's another guy named Hayden also has a meeting with this woman whose name is Margaret, because he has written several autobiographies for like different musicians and everything, and he also wants to write an autobiography of her life. So she comes up with the idea of this month-long trial one where both will be able to interview her and spend time with her and basically write a part of what would be like a first draft of a book, but like part of it, not fully obviously. And then based on what they've written in this month's time, she will decide who will write a book. And yeah, that's the story of this one. And honestly, I've seen so many mixed opinions about this book, and I get it already. I am enjoying this, don't get me wrong, but I do feel like romance wise I like the dynamic between Hayden and Alice. I do, but Hayden is a bit of a tough character to read in my opinion, and then Alice is very sunshine. This is Glam Sunshine, but like very very sunshine. Like it's almost like unbelievable, like not exactly but like almost. And I do fear that their relationship is reading very unsolved already, just a quarter of the way in this book, which isn't very typical for Emily Henry, so I'm a bit disappointed by that. And then I am personally really liking the storyline with Margaret, but I can understand already that if you're not interested in that, this is gonna be a tough read because there's a lot of it already. But I'm really enjoying that element to it, but I can see if that's not your cup of tea, this book might not be your cup of tea. But honestly, at this point, this book could go so many different directions because we are definitely still in kind of like the setup stages for it. But I am very excited to continue reading, and once I'm halfway through, I'll probably be able to come back to you with way more thoughts. Hi, so I am halfway through Great Big Beautiful Life. I'm not liking it as much anymore. I'm definitely not disliking it, but I am moving through it a bit slower, which honestly also could be the weather. Like, we're at a point, because we're currently in a heat wave, in case you didn't know, because why would you know? Because this video is not going up anywhere near it is being filmed, because that's just life right now. But we're in the middle of a heat wave, but we're in the kind of weather today where it just feels like all oxygen doesn't exist anymore. It's been burned up, and I hate this type of weather so much. And I feel like the lack of oxygen getting to my brain, or at least feeling like the lack of oxygen that's getting to my brain. I actually don't know if there's a difference in oxygen getting to my brain, but it does feel like I'm it does feel like I'm struggling a little bit. I do feel like that is also impacting a little bit my reading speed with this book, but also just in general, I feel like not a whole lot is happening at this point, and I am getting a little bit bored, but I am still like having a decent enough time. I still think Margaret's storyline is really interesting, and I like the way it's told, because obviously we just have like regular chapters where our main character is interviewing her, but we also have, and actually left off on this, these sections called the story, and they start with like a line there version, and then it like in a couple of sentences like encapsulates basically what the general public, like the media, has always thought of it as family, and like these events that have been happening. And then it says her version, and it goes in depth about how Margaret actually experienced these things, or when it came to like earlier family history, how she like heard about every, you know, the way she's always been told how things went down. So I think that's really interesting, the way that's being told as well. And I do think like that whole family is so interesting, and I'm really liking those parts of the book. But the romance just really isn't romancing for me. Like, I don't know, I'm still not sold on Hayden as a character. Just, I don't know, he's weird. He's, I don't know, a bit inconsistent as well. I don't know how to read him. And then I just feel like there's no chemistry between them, yet I'm supposed to like believe this pining between them. I don't see it. So yeah, and like I said, not a whole lot has been happening right now. I feel like we're at a bit of a standstill with the book, so therefore I am also getting a bit bored, but I am still like having a decent enough time. I'm not disliking my time reading it, if that makes sense. So there was that. Anyway, I'm in my living room because I got tired of being in my room, and I'm gonna put on the fan and actually have some, you know, air in my direction, and then I'm gonna continue reading my book, because that's kind of all I have the brain power to do right now. I have great news, because it's gotten so windy out, which means it's also been getting windy inside, so it's great because I have my windows open. I don't even need my fan anymore. That's how windy it is all of a sudden. Loving it. Anyway, also still enjoying this book. Not loving it though, for the very reason I'm 3/4 of the way through. By the way, in case you're curious, I'm about to finish it. Not about to finish this book. I still have like 104 pages left, but I am relatively close to the ending. And I just don't give a shit about the romance, which is just the thing that's pissing me off about this. And I feel like, you know, you read Emily Henry for the romance, and it's really, really lacking in this book. And not lacking as in it's a tiny element of this book, because I have also seen people discuss if this should be considered a romance or not, and I could definitely should, because a romance is like the most important part of this book. But like, there's nothing there, no chemistry, no feelings, no vibes, no nothing, and it's so boring. And every time there's a scene between the main character and the love interest, I'm kind of like, okay, but can we get back to Margaret? Because her story is so much more interesting. Like, we have gotten to the point now in her story where she meets her, like, future husband. And that has so much more tension and chemistry than the actual romantic leads of the book. And it's annoying. It kind of feels like Emily Henry wanted to write the story of, like, the socialite and, like, be it and have it be told in this way, where I do also think that when it comes to Alice's like personal stuff, like with her family and the issues she has with her family and just like personally, I think are also very interesting, and I like the way that I kind of like ties into Margaret's story as well. I feel like the parallels between it is very interesting. But like, it felt like Emily Henry wanted to write a lit fic about the socialite getting interviews by this up and coming, like not up and coming because she's an established journalist, but like this person who wants to make a career in writing biographies. It felt like that's the book Emily Henry wanted to write, and the publisher was like, but you write romance, like we need a romance book from you, we don't care about lit fic. and then she just haphazardly threw in a romance, and I don't know if that's actually how it went, but that's how it's reading, and that's kind of annoying to me. But for the rest, I am still having a decent enough time with it. I think this is gonna land at a 3 star just because the romance is such a large part of it, and I do not give a shit about that. But if it was just Margaret's story and like Alice's story, I feel like this could be a 5. But it isn't, obviously. So there you go. I highly doubt any of my thoughts are gonna change in this last quarter, but I'm gonna read it and we'll see. Hi, so I finished Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, and as predicted, this is a 3 star for me. I really loved Margaret's storyline. As constantly discussed, I also think the parallels between her and Alice and her personal storyline was really interesting, but that romance, man, such a bore. I feel like this should have been a lit fic. Throw the romance out, nobody needs it. I do also think the ending got a bit odd. Not as in like bad, but in like not as great as the rest of the book. So that was a bit of a letdown, but overall I did enjoy it fine enough. But the romance was such a big part of this book, and then it was so boring, so it ended up being a 3 star for me. Because yeah, I also don't get, because also with the release of this book, there was a lot of discussions around if this should be classified as a romance or not. Like, if this isn't a romance, I don't know what is. It is a bad romance, but it is a romance. So what is everyone talking about? Just because the B plot is more lit fic focused doesn't mean that the A plot isn't a romance. So yeah, that's weird to me. Hi, so I'm a quarter of the way through King of Envy by Huang, which is 128 pages, which honestly is quite a chunk, but not a lot has happened yet, I'm gonna be completely honest. But in this book, in case you didn't know, because I didn't know before going into this, you follow Ayana, who is a model, and she's kind of like with her agency is in a bit of a shady contract, and she wants to get out of that. So she agrees to a fake engagement slash marriage to this guy named, is his name on the back? No, doesn't seem like it. So she agrees to get a fake married to this guy who she's like pretty close friends with, and he like has to get married to be able to get his inheritance. So they have like a deal where he obviously will give her like money so she can buy herself out of that contract that she doesn't want to be in, and then she obviously is helping him get his inheritance. But the issue lies with this guy's best friend, whose name is Vuk, or Vuk, I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm so sorry. And he is his best friend, best man, and he is obsessed with Ayana. I don't even want to say he has a crush, he has an obsession. And obviously it is a romance between the two of them, which is going to be like complicated because he obviously doesn't want to, like, he thinks that they're actually getting married because no one can know that their engagement is fake. So he doesn't want to hurt his best friend, but he's also like, damn, that's the woman of my dream. And yeah, there we are. As I said, I'm 128 pages in, which is a quarter of the way through, which isn't a lot because Buck is a very like stoic person. Like, we have met in earlier books in the series, so he is like been through a lot, so that made him like very stoic and like very closed off. And then especially in this situation, of course, he doesn't want to let his feelings for Ayana show in any way possible. Like, he wants to create a bit of distance between them because, you know, according to him, his best friend is in love with him. Is in love with her, and it's the other way around as well. It's mutual. So that to Ayana reads very much like, oh, he hates me, and like he like doesn't want to be around me and stuff like that. So there was, you know, some ice to be broken between them because of just like the complicated situation. And that means that I feel like there's gonna be a relatively slow burn, because there was definitely moments already where Ayana is like feeling some attraction. So I don't know just how slow burn is gonna be, but I'm presuming just with the way we're moving, it's gonna twitch some waters, and it's not gonna be the quickest developed romance, which, you know, I don't necessarily mind considering this book is like 510 pages. Like, I don't know, Anna Juan needs to wrap it up sometimes. Like, our books used to be short. I don't know what happened recently where they're like all like massive books, and they don't always need to be. There's definitely some books of her that are larger that I think like the length was needed, but like there's also some like The Striker that was just way too long. And I feel like if we are going a bit slower, that would justify the Lauren Page thing, you know. Yeah, I like that dynamics of I think is interesting. It's not necessarily that I'm like shipping them, but I think it's very interesting. I think Fuck as a character is very interesting. He's also mute, which is not something I've ever seen before. But he communicates through sign language, and he has written some notes, but like he mainly is main form of communication is sign language, and I feel like that's so uncommon in book, especially when it comes to like a romantic hero. So in that sense, I like that aspect to it. But I already have a feeling with just the way it's going now, and also a big part of this book is kind of like Vug's past coming to haunt him again, and I feel like we're going in like the gang's crime territory, and I'm not gonna lie, that's not the most interesting to me. So I already fear that maybe that plot line in this book is not gonna be my favorite, but I don't know, could turn out well, who knows. Hi, so I'm halfway through King of Envy, and just ignore everything I told you in my previous update because I don't agree with any of it anymore. That's not true, by the way. The only thing I agree with is that like the whole plot with like the brotherhood and like the shit going on in Vug's personal life, I can't care less. Like, honestly, it's so boring and I don't care. I think my eyes glazed over at a certain scene with stuff happening and that I just why? That's not the genre the series is. Why are we delving into that? It is. Ugh. But besides that, I don't like this book. I'm hating it. Like, I'm actively hating it. It's not just that I'm like, I don't know, like with King of Greed, which is my least favorite in the series up until this point, I was like, you know, there are elements to this that I like, but ultimately I can't buy the romance. I don't really like the love interest. So like, I'm feeling a bit mad about it. But this, the more it's going on, the more I hate it. It's bad. It's really bad. First of all, I don't vibe with Ayana and Vuk anymore. Especially Vuk. He can fuck off. He honestly, even a stalker romance hero would be afraid of this guy because he is so unhinged and his obsession with Ayana is not healthy. It's disgusting. His anger issues, an issue, definitely. His possessiveness, also, such an issue. Nothing about this is hot. Nothing. Now, what the fuck's going on with Ayana? She's like ready to throw it all away just because she got horny once. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm not seeing it. And I'm like, what are we doing? And I also was expecting this to be a bit of a slow burn, considering their circumstances. It's not. They fucked already. I don't care if that's a spoiler to you. They did. We have had a sex scene already. So I don't even know what we're doing on that front either. And then I don't know, it's giving me a headache. Especially at this point, because we are getting in some like conflict with, I guess, Ayana's like fiance, Jordan, who is also supposed to be Vuk's best friend. And then the reason why he picked Ayana for like this fake marriage arrangement is supposedly because they're such good friends. I don't believe it. Like, Vuk doesn't like this man at all. He barely tolerates him. It's painful to read. Like, he keeps saying, like, oh, I should be loyal to him because he's my best friend. But I also kind of want to kill him because he's gonna marry the girl I love. Like, what the? No. What the fuck are you talking about? They generally, when I left off, I'm not gonna give you the details, but he has been shitting on this man for like 2 pages. No more, like 5 pages. For no reason. I'm like, girl, are you sure you're friends? Because I don't see it. And then when it comes to Ayana and Jordan, I also don't believe they're supposed to be good friends because they had like one conversation between them which was awkward as fuck. I'm like, okay, I don't know how you're gonna spend the next 5 years together because they agreed to be married for 5 years. I don't know how you're gonna do that because you can't even hold a conversation because it's so awkward. And then even when it comes to like, I get there's a scene where something happens to Rihanna and like her instinct is to go to fuck, and I know that's supposed to be like relationship development, like look at how she has feelings for him, but the fact that while going over the people in her life and why she doesn't really feel comfortable going to them with this issue, and instead is like for some reason so pro to fuck, she just like barely even mentions that Jordan is an option. I'm like, he's supposedly like your friend. And the only thing you mentioned is like, I know I was just supposed to go to Jordan right now because he's my fiance and everything, but like, I was like, how about he's like one of your best friends? When you're dealing with something, you should want to talk to your friends. I don't know, not. I feel so stupid about it because it's supposed to be like the main conflict between the two of them is a man in between them, and like neither of them gives a fuck about this man. So why am I supposed to? I don't know. Yeah, this is getting me angry. I apologize. It just passed midnight though, so I'm gonna put this book down, gonna sleep, and then I'll probably see you tomorrow, and hopefully the second half of this will go better. Okay, so I finished King of Envy by Anna Huang, and I want to talk to you about it. I was gonna update you. When I was 3/4 of the way through instead, but I wasn't having a good time and I didn't want to talk about it. So I just finished it. And, like, to be fair, I needed to just like push through because otherwise I don't think I would have finished it. But this wasn't good. This wasn't great. I give it 1 star. Yeah. I feel like I talked a lot about what I started disliking at the halfway mark, and I definitely continued on in a lot of health. But ultimately, I just think that this book just isn't well written. I feel like Huck especially is very inconsistently written. There is a certain point where like a character makes a joke that he never says more than 1 sentence at a time, and like he isn't a man of very many words. I'm like, this man is such a yapper. He doesn't shut up. He literally doesn't shut up. And about halfway through, we also get like the first moment where he speaks. It's like it's nothing, and a little bit later we do get like the explanation of why he went mute and he stopped talking. It's like this very traumatic, tragic thing. And yet, after that moment, halfway through, he just yaps. Like, generally just starts talking. The only time where he still signs is honestly, like, very public situations. So where there's, like, lots of people around. That's the only time he signs after that. For the rest, it's, like, mostly yapping to anyone that will listen. And I'm just like, how is this like, how does what you're telling me about him match what you're doing with him? You know what I mean? And it got really frustrating to read because of those inconsistencies. And then, honestly, also by the end, I realized I know nothing about Ayana. She's a blank slate of a character. The only things I know about her is that she's a model and she loves her job, and that she loves knitting, but is shit at it. That's the only 2 things I can tell you about her. Like, no real personality traits, likes, dislikes, hopes and dreams, nothing. She's such a boring character, like such a blank slate. And then the relationship, I wasn't a fan of. Like I said before, I feel like Vogue at times went more like a creepy stalker than a fun love interest. Or like, you know, a broody love interest, because of course he's not supposed to be fun. He's supposed to be broody. But he didn't read like that. He had genuinely like a creepy stalker. And then when it came to like their feelings for each other, I felt like it was much more just lust based than anything else. Like, they do have deep conversations, but like there was nothing there chemistry wise. I feel like when they have like those conversations, I feel like, oh yeah, you're friends. And I was like, no, I love him so much, I would die. It's like, where? Like, genuinely where? There's nothing in here when it comes to like relationship development, emotional feelings development. I don't know. I really just wasn't a fan. And on top of that, I thought the whole like gang storyline was boring as fuck. I told you about that already. It wasn't well executed. Like, honestly, the reveals towards the end with that were either like super predictable or just so batshit crazy out of nowhere. And I'm like, where? How does this make sense? It doesn't. So yeah, there we go. I really hated this book. I led such a dumper at the end of this video because it's a bad video. This took me like 3 months to film for no particular reason. Like, I took such a long time in between books, and then I only liked one of the books. I mean, Great Big Beautiful Life is not that bad compared to King of Envy, you know, but like I felt very mad about it. Problematic Summer Women is quite literally the only book in this video that I liked, and it's supposed to be like 3 authors that I love and 3 books I was highly anticipating. I liked one of the books. That's kind of painful, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna leave you alone. This video was trash. I apologize. See you next time, and hopefully more luck.
Here I am again, the same old situation. Why does the God thing have to be so complicated? Should've played